How are you? I am Star Penn, the creator and founder of the JIA Blueprint. And today, what I want to talk to you about, new you, new year. What are some of the most cutting edge approaches to addressing your child's juvenile arthritis in 2025? Not so much that they've changed from 2024, but we are always learning and growing and finding new strategies, new things that we can apply in order to get our children healed faster, more completely, safer, and ultimately in a gentle way, because our children's bodies are small. And a huge component of reversing juvenile arthritis does have to do with detox. So we want to make sure that we understand what we're doing, how to do it properly and safely, and really look at everything that's out there for us and how we can get the most benefit out of all the different avenues that are out there. So that's what I want to share with you today. As you probably know, if you've been watching my videos, if you subscribe to my channel, if you don't already, please do, because when you do, then the algorithm in YouTube deems my videos important to people like you. And as you know, there are so many moms now, so many families now that are dealing with receiving this diagnosis. I receive incoming calls daily of new people who are receiving this diagnosis. So unfortunately, this isn't going anywhere. So we need to arm ourselves and we need to learn, how are we going to attack this in the most strategic and most impactful way possible and get our child off to a road of health and happiness and thriving vitality rather than a road to sickness. So the first thing we want to look at is what is being offered in the conventional route medically and how we can use those things. Some people might think, oh, wait, you're the JIA Blueprint, you're this natural approach. And yes, absolutely, I am. But one of my biggest tenets that I absolutely live by and believe is that our children should never suffer if we can help it. So this video isn't going to go down the list of all of the things that, all the medical options, like what they all are and what they do, because your rheumatologist is going to inform you of these things and give you what they think, hopefully, is the least invasive option at the time. So number one, this is a mom to a mom. This is not medical advice. This is just the way that I see it when it comes to my own kids. If our child is not in pain, but say they're swelling, but our child is not in any pain, I'll pose it more as a question. Do you feel that it's necessary to employ an invasive type of, chemical modality into your child's body? That's a personal decision for you to make, to think about. Because yes, if there's swelling, that's sign of inflammation. Something that is immunosuppressant might get the immune system off of that joint, and which in turn will bring the swelling down. But if your child isn't in pain and we could be getting that swelling down another way, would you prefer something like that? It's more, I'm posing it more as a question to stay safe, really. But we have all of these options available to us. Anything from naproxen, which is, pain relief, to steroids, which we know help greatly with swelling and pain, and moving on to, methotrexate, and then various biologics, which have really fine-tuned which cells we're going after here and could pinpoint, could more accurately stop that particular immune response without shutting down the entire immune system, right? So we have all these options in front of us, and we already know the order in which these things get presented to us. But all of these are on the table. I just want to say that. Some people are surprised to hear me say that, but all of these options are on the table. Yes, we know that, the NSAIDs, that they cause liver damage and gut damage. We know this. We know that we can find out from our doctors if we don't know what the side effects are to all these other medications. We know that. But first and foremost, in 2025, we want our child pain-free. And the bottom line is really the real practical reason why I say that, aside from the fact is I do not want to see my child in pain, is they can't heal if they're in pain. If they're in pain and we're really looking at the root level of what's going on and they're in pain, right? We're just trying to be natural and we don't want to put any medication there. We don't want to hurt their body with any medication. Their cortisol's up. Their gut's being destroyed just simply by the mechanism, the hormonal imbalance that's taking place in the body from raised cortisol. And so we could be doing all the right things, and our child won't heal. And meanwhile, they're in pain. So I don't love, obviously, what the meds do to the body, but everything that we're doing in the blueprint will eventually undo that as well. So rule number 1, 2025, your child is JIA, or any of the A's, what are we doing? We are addressing pain. That's number 1. Okay. So if your child is not in pain, that's great. You make that choice with your rheumatologist. If your child is not in pain, maybe even if there is just some stiffness, but there's no pain, is that something you need to do right now? That's something you would discuss with your medical doctor and come up with a plan for that, and then maybe recheck it, down the road and see how you do. And that is an amazing place to be, whether you decide to take medication and get that pain under control, or your child has other symptoms like swelling, but there is no pain. This is a wonderful place to be, because this is where we can really start to get to work. Because on the one hand, as mom, if we see them in pain, they won't heal because they are in pain, but we are going to be frantic. Like, the energy of it all is just not going to be healing. And we end up throwing stuff at it and addressing the JIA in a very reactive mode. We never make good decisions when we're in that mode. So number 1, out of pain. Number 2, what are we going to do? Well, now we have so much of a deeper understanding, even what we understood 10 years ago. So 10 years ago, when my daughter, Serafina, was diagnosed with juvenile arthritis, it was just emerging. Timing couldn't have been more perfect about a leaky gut. Think about a decade ago, right? This was brand new information. I looked like a crazy person, and saying that by medical doctors who now openly acknowledge this condition. But 10 years later, working with clients of all ages and all autoimmune issues and helping them with addressing the gut, what we've come to learn now is that even addressing the gut is not getting to the root. I know. That was the tenet of root cause healing, was it's in the gut and it's affecting the joints. But we want to think about it even deeper than that and think about, okay, why is the gut leaking? How is that happening? So this is where we are in 2025. And what we understand now are, and this is something we understood in 2023 and 2024, yeast, overgrowth of yeast in the body has been a huge culprit in causing a leaky gut. That's because yeast overgrows. It is so opportunistic. And you think of our standard American diet, not just all of the quick sugars and simple carbs and things like that are in the diet, but also all of the processed chemicals and things like that. Consuming foods like this, which we get every day with everything that we eat, drink. It's inevitable. And yeast is extremely opportunistic. Yeast has a corkscrew design to, if you were to hone in on it, has this corkscrew design. So when it comes up and through the gut lining, it latches onto the gut lining, creating these permeable holes and also starving out the villi inside the gut lining that absorbs nutrients. So yeast, we've always known to be a culprit. But what we're realizing now is what the yeast is doing besides ripping holes in the gut lining, it's making our children malnourished. And that's why in 2025, we're not hyper focused on supplements because we realize anything that we throw down there while our children's body is in this state is largely not even being assimilated. That's really unfortunate, but we have ways around it. And that's what we're going to talk about that today. So what we do realize, yes, leaky gut, right? That means leak, seal. Got to do that. Number 2, yeast, seal. But we need to remove the yeast to expose the villi again and then give the body the nutrients it needs and the time that it needs for this villi to be rebuilt. And that's the beautiful thing about the human body, is that it is always renewing itself. And that is also why, even though we hate to see our kids suffering, we don't want to see a child suffering. This is something that's systemic. It's something epidemic. This is something that is affecting all of us on the planet Earth right now. And there couldn't be a better time for us to be made alert that this is happening because of their rapid cell turnover in their body. We have so much to work with. So trying to, it really is a plus, because not that we're happy that our child has arthritis, or that they're a child dealing with chronic illness, but really this, if they were to be dealing with this, say after 19 or in their 20s or 30s, as we know, our cell turnover slows down and things just take longer and longer. Right now, their body is primed for healing. It's primed for repair. And so we use that to our advantage. So we're not throwing a ton of supplements down there in 2025. What we're doing instead is we are doing the rebuilding work. We are doing the rebalancing work to, get that yeast moved on out of there and give the internal lining of the intestinal wall time to heal. And we're using that time to nourish the body with nutrient-dense foods. So what are nutrient-dense foods? Well, we know what these ones are. We know that eggs are nutrient-dense, avocados are nutrient-dense, red meat, healthy animal fats, lots of nutrient-dense foods. Liver is extremely nutrient-dense. So we can go on, we can look up a list of nutrient-dense foods and say, these are the foods that I want to feed my child now because we need to rebuild. And hey, Steffi, we need to rebuild the body. And it's with foods that we're best going to be able to do this, because our body can absorb. Our body will recognize the food and it will take those nutrients and absorb them. Whereas with the villi being so compacted and really just kind of, they've been a little bit destroyed, they're not going to recognize the supplements as much. And that's not to say we don't take any supplements in the JIA Blueprint, because we do. We just realize that what's been going on with throwing all these supplements at it, take L-glutamine and take turmeric and take this and take that. This is a lot. It's a lot for kids to take, number one. They're expensive, number two. And then most importantly, they're not really being absorbed. So that's really the clincher right there. They're not really being absorbed. So why are we spending our time, energy, and money there when we'd be better off? They have to eat anyway. So let's do it with food instead, because they have to eat anyway. And so that's what we're doing in 2025. This is how we're healing our kids. So the third that I'm going to share today, for the sake of not keeping this video too long, is a driving force of our children's juvenile arthritis, right? How did the gut get leaky in the first place? Our underlying infections. So something you may have heard of, it's a buzzword in the JIA world, is like co-Lyme infection. Have you heard that? Have you heard of a co-Lyme infection? Well, I say that one because Lyme is kind of an enigma of a disease or an infection. It's not really something that's been isolated. A lot of people develop Lyme disease, co-Lyme with their JIA, or they say it's Lyme, not JIA, or it's JIA, it's not Lyme. They're intertwined a lot. And these people have never been exposed or live anywhere near where there ever would have been a deer tick or somewhere where, they say that we get Lyme. So Lyme is still I could actually make another video on it, but Lyme can be a controversial topic, and there's some very interesting information on that. But I say all that because what is true and what we are seeing is that underlying infections, Lyme, right? Or I'm just doing that because it's another story. Epstein-Barr, strep. I'm trying to think of some of the others. These underlying infections that live rent-free in our children's bodies. That means if they've had strep before, let's just say, and you gave them antibiotics and it went away, well, guess what? Strep lives in their body. It lives in there. And there's also lots of underlying infections that they're born with. We pass them along, they get them here, there, and these are things that the immune system just isn't detecting, and they're living rent-free in our children's bodies. I think I already said that. And this really is a major culprit, a huge contributor to how all of this got triggered in the first place. And so it's not just one thing. It's these underlying infections in general. And that's because a lot of these bacteria, these pathogenic bacteria, are part of our human biome. They exist there. Like, we don't want to think that they do because we think, ooh, parasite, ooh, germ, ooh, yucky, kill the bees, kill the bees. They belong there. They live there. They're part of the ecosystem, just like any external ecosystem we would see. There's some things that we would rather not touch. There's some things that we find rather beautiful. It's the same thing. The problem is when dysbiosis takes place, meaning there's an imbalance in the gut, and now there's more of them than needs to be. They don't know what to do with themselves when they're in that place, and they wreak havoc on the body, causing the good crowding out the good bacteria, causing dysbiosis. Again, this vicious cycle of things taking place. So what are we doing in 2025 that maybe we weren't already doing before? That's addressing underlying infections, but in a safe way that isn't attacking them with antibiotics. Okay. So these things take time. These things don't happen overnight. The things that we do inside the JIA Blueprint, it's not a magic wand. It's not like, oh, here's this juice from, the rainforest of the Amazon and just drink it. And no, think of everything we've discussed. These things have been going on in their body for however long, or maybe not length of time, but severity of symptoms. And these things take time to pull back and to repair and to reintroduce. And these things have to be done in a strategic way that is not one size fits all. It's not a matter of, step 1, do this. Step 2, do that. Step 3. No. Every single one of my clients is applying the blueprint and working with me closely, but applying the blueprint in a way that works for their child, whether that be just because this is how our family operates and this is what we can do, or this is how my child's responding to what we're doing. Do more, do less, do detox now. Let's deal with infections now. Let's deal with gut sealing now. Let's deal with gut rebuilding now. We're paying attention. So we're paying attention to the child's body. So if more than anything else, what I want you to focus on in 2025, not these magic cures, not, this product is supposed to help with this leaky gut support, or, this anti-inflammatory support, or, this particular probiotic. I want you to completely change your entire approach and instead look at your child. believe it or not, it doesn't, for some people, it does come very natural and it's already there, or it comes very quickly, and some not so much. But the fact is that we're energetic beings. You, mom, are very energetically connected to your child. So the more you focus on them, not their JIA, not their pain, them, and say, what do they need right now? What is their body saying that it needs right now? And so inflammation is a language, pain is a language, swelling is a language, taste buds, picky eating is a language. So are sleeping habits, moods, all of these things is her or his body speaking to you, communicating to you what it needs. So usually, just for an example, moods and things like that would be like, okay, we got to detox. And then things, other things that are going on in the body would be like, okay, we have some underlying infections going on. And I want you to address your child's juvenile arthritis more that way on a day-to-day basis, even a minute-to-minute basis or meal-to-meal basis, or however you want to look at it, but in live time. And say, what does their body need the most right now? Nutrients, gut sealing, eliminating, bringing down the parasitic load or, infectious load in the body. But we have to remember there's certain times for all these things, right? We want to go, oh, wait, you're saying there's disgusting infections in my child's body. I'm going to go in there and kill them. Whoa, don't do that. Again, we want to be gentle on our child's body, because we kill all of these pathogens in the body, let's say, and now they're dead in the body. And where do they go? How's your child's liver? How are their bowels? Are they able to process what you just did? Well, hopefully after watching this video, you never do something like that. Don't ever go in there with a whole bunch of, fermented foods, trying to give a bunch of probiotics, because that again causes die-off. Don't go in there, trying to do a parasite cleanse or something like that. We almost always, when we are heavy-handed with this, we almost always cause more problems than solve them. So the idea for 2025 is to understand and look at our child as an individual, and what do they need in this moment? What is their body saying that it needs from me in this moment? And 99.9% of the time, it's not a supplement, okay? It's something that you can do to relieve them by means of detox, or that you can support them by means of rebuilding, or that you can nourish them in order to rebuild the internal lining of the gut, whether that be rebuilding the villi, whether that be repopulating the gut. We want to be aware and try our best, right? We don't have goggles in there to see what's going on in the body. But like I said, all of these things that your child says and does and behaves like is information for us. Okay, so hope this is helpful. Please continue to watch my videos. Reach out to me if you have any questions about this. I know it is very overwhelming. I know that it's confusing. I hope my video isn't confusing, because there is no way to say do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There is no way, because everybody's body is different. But we want to look beyond the gut. Okay, yes, all disease starts in the gut. Great. That is great information. They did not have that a decade ago. So that's great. But now we want to go even deeper. Okay. Why is it leaking? What are the underlying things that are causing this? That even if I sealed the gut, right? Even if I took this leaky gut support that was like sent from heaven and completely sealed the gut, what would cause it to leak again? Right? What's going on under there? So that's the kind of things that I want you to look for, and the way that I want you to go about treating your child's juvenile arthritis in 2025. Okay, let's look beyond the gut, and let's heal the child, not the disease. Okay, all right. Well, it was really good talking to you guys again. I look forward to seeing you again on my next video. And as always, hopefully you know how to find me. Okay, take care. Bye.